Welcome to Grown Man Sessions. I'm your host, Timothy Rhyme. I have overcome addiction, incarceration, depression, and almost died. I learned a very important lesson along the way, and that's be good to yourself and be good to others because that's why we're here. And that's what this channel is all about: healing, growth, learning, and moving forward. We're going to be having some very difficult conversations with some very beautiful guests, and I hope you stick around to listen to their amazing stories. If you are on your own journey of transformation of growth, I congratulate you and I encourage you to keep going. Please hit the subscribe button so that we can stay connected and keep expanding this community. And thank you in advance for the love. But now let's get to the good stuff. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Grown Man Sessions. We are continuing on with this whole theme of bringing on more women onto the platform because I just think it's so important to have the female perspective when it comes to their opinion and their like techniques and their touch when it comes to like the male perspective. We're all part of the same struggle, but I was raised by nothing but strong women, so to me it's like it's very crucial to have that voice in the conversation. So today, my guest is my homegirl Roze from Sacktown to the Bay. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Rose?
What's good? What's good? Thank you for having me.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad we're able to get this all set up. Because like all this other stuff that people are going through, like COVID, work, like family stuff, like money issues. Like it's not always easy to set time aside. So I really appreciate you making time to like sit down and talk with me.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm happy. Shoot. I remember I was watching your last couple interviews and Joey, I actually worked with Joey back when I was doing like community work, with the Brown Berets, and we'd go to the Washington Neighborhood Center.
Yeah.
His spot. And he would always, host us. He was always hella helpful. And I did one time I was like messing around with some like video editing stuff. So I just did like a little video of like the Washington Neighborhood Center. So it's like if you go on YouTube and you search Washington Neighborhood Center, you'll find my video of the Washington Neighborhood Center. It was just a
Yeah.
little thing I did just for the neighborhood because it's such a good center that gives back, and that's kind of what I'm about, just giving back and taking what I can and learning and growing, and you know what I mean. So I appreciate being here on Grown Man Sessions.
Yeah, hell yeah. Joey's my boy. I've known Joey since I was in like high school, like way before music and way before other business stuff. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm glad that like I realized like as we got older, that like because like when we were in motion and we were kind of like doing a lot of things together, hustling together, you don't really realize how many people you're starting to touch,
Yeah,
until like years later sometimes, like, and then you start hearing stories and it's like it's cool. It's always cool hearing about like, whether it's me, Joey, or anybody else that I used to run with, like how they're touching other people too. So like I really like that you was able to check out his interview. So thank you for checking it out.
yeah, for sure, man. I've been, when I first started college, I remember seeing you for the first time perform at Sac City College. And then I took a picture with you. I don't know if you remember, but we took a picture. I'll send you that picture if you want to pop it up after on this thing, whatever. But
Yeah.
we took a picture, and then like a couple years later, I think like sometime after that, you had like there was the Immortal Technique concert, right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
think you were the one like kind of like organizing it or
Yeah.
whatnot.
Me and
But
Joey.
yeah, but I only had heard, from the talk in the streets or whatever that you had organized or whatever, but I didn't really know. And more technique. That's always been my dude, man. He's dope as fuck. And I went to the concert. It was dope. It was one of the dopest concerts I've ever been to. Like I even had the DJ or whatever shouting me out because I knew every single word. I was like hella psyched. I got free T-shirts and everything that night. I was like psyched. And like a couple of years later, I went to like Mountain View for Rock the Bells, and like I did
Oh.
like this volunteering there with the media. And when I was at the media, we was talking about like I was telling them, oh yeah, we're from Sacramento, da, 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 and they were like, oh, you guys know Tim? You guys know Tim, like Timothy Rhymes. Man, that kid is dope.
Oh.
That kid's gonna go places like the media, like the whole media team was talking about. It was like, hell yeah. I was like, I know who that is.
Oh wow,
But
damn, that's crazy.
yeah, it is crazy. Like, the way the world here, Cali, Sacramento, just the music industry is like, and the community is just interconnected either way.
For
You know what
sure.
I mean?
Oh
So yeah.
yeah, definitely. Oh man, thank you for
Throwback.
telling that story.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you that because I don't think I ever had a chance to. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh
that
man,
was
you
cool.
just made my night.
I was like, hell yeah, shit.
That's dope. Right
Mm.
on, man. Well, I appreciate that, but I wanted to kind of get the conversation started,
Oh yeah.
kind of like just by asking you a little bit of a general question. Um, in your mind, like, what do you describe? How would you describe, like, in your perspective, as a grown man?
Mm, yeah. So I had to think about that, because I heard you asking in the last one, and I was like, a grown man is somebody who continues to grow, who never feels like their cup
Mm-hmm.
is full, you know. Some people may think, oh, a grown man is somebody who has all their shit together. And it's like, you could be 50, 60, 70 years old and you still don't have your shit together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It the grown perspective or that grown mentality comes from being able to own up to your mistakes, take accountability, and be able to make change. Take a step towards that change every day, regardless of how much people tell you you're not going to change or nothing's going to happen to change your situation or you. A grown person is able to overcome, whatever other people are saying, negative things people are saying, negative things, thoughts that you have yourself, and being able
Mm-hmm.
to overcome those and just make a commitment to yourself to take a step every day towards your goals, to becoming better, becoming that person you want to be. You know what I mean? I remember
Ooh.
somebody once told me like you should behave the way you want to see yourself in the future. So if you can picture yourself
Ooh.
in 10 years or 20 years, what kind of woman do you see? Do you see a strong woman? You know what I mean? Do you see a woman who is effortlessly just working towards her goals every day and just not letting the negativity overshadow the light that you have inside?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of person do you want to be in the future? And you have to take steps today to try to become that person, because like we all still grow. No matter how old you are, you're still growing every single day, every second. So that's my perspective on what grown man or woman should be. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think you hit the nail on the head at the very beginning when you said just somebody that's just willing to just keep growing. And I think even for my own transformation, like, I agree with you. I don't think that it ever ends.
Mm.
I don't think that the your cup is never going to be completely full, because you know there's always something else that you could learn, or you could improve on, or you could, like, just do different. Even if you're in a place of, like, oh, like, my finances are straight, like, my family's straight, my health is straight, what I'm saying? Like, maybe there's something else that you could always, like, try to figure out or learn about yourself or improve on too. So yeah, I completely agree. Like, I think the whole idea of grown man sessions is not trying to, like, figure out, like, one specific stereotype or one specific, like, template of a man, but, like, just continuously growing and continuously, like, uh figuring things out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I used to be the kind of person who didn't believe in change. I didn't believe that people really could change. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Including myself. You know. Um.
It's
But
hard.
yeah, it is. It is hella hard. It's hella hard. And people, and it's part of the reasons why people have such a struggle trying to change,
Hmm.
why so many people struggle with drug addiction and mental illness, because you get kind of stuck in this kind of mode in your mind, kind of like this cycle over and over again, and until you can find a way to break that cycle, and it could take a long time before you even realize that cycle. You know what I mean? Like seriously, I just recently started believing in change. Like, within the last couple of years, I started really believing in change. Um, and
And
it's just,
what sparked that for you?
man, two things. One was my realization that I needed to meet my dad. I've never met my dad in my life. I never knew him, never spoke with him.
Mm-hmm.
He could pass me in the street and I wouldn't know who he is. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And, for a long time, practically all my life, I just had a lot of resentment towards him. I just like,
Mm-hmm.
just like that kind of inner hatred that, you wasn't there. And I blame you for all the shit that happened in my life. I blame you for everything bad that happened in my life.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of mentality, that a lot of people go through. There's a lot of people who don't, grow up with their
Yeah.
fathers. Unfortunately, that's like a thing. It's like, in in these
Yep.
generations. But I came to the realization, man. Um, one of my partners passed away, and before he passed away, he met his father for the first time.
Oh, damn.
And I was like, bro, like, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it. Like, I really can't. Like, now our situation is different. Like, my dad's a piece of shit. Like, that's how I was thinking. Like, that's how my mind. I'm like, my dad's a piece of shit. Like, he was never no good to anybody. And so my brother, my boy, he was like, my brother John B, he was like, you know what? I felt the same way, but once I met him, I felt like this freedom, this
Mm.
relief that
Mm-hmm.
fell off my chest and my back, and I was able to focus on being a better father more than focusing on what I missed on. You know what I mean?
That's real.
And I was like, damn. And he was like, plus, you might, if he passes, you might end up living with regret that you didn't have a chance to meet him, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I was like, bro, that shit's heavy. I can't even. But
Yeah.
but then I ended up actually having conversation. I ended up like meeting my dad's side of the family, like his sisters,
Oh,
like
wow.
I still haven't met him, because he's currently serving time in
Mm-hmm.
Mexico, and it's this whole thing. But I'm hoping to get to that point where I can meet him and I can just like I don't know, just have that, have a conversation with him, not even go to, blame him or be angry at him or, nothing like that. Just have a conversation, have him get to know me, maybe get to know him and, maybe his life or whatnot. Maybe, there's some things I don't know, but from everything that I've known, it's always been bad, and,
I
and so,
kind of, I kind of like, I could kind of relate, but at the same time, like I kind of like have a little bit of a, I don't know, like a, I don't know what the word would be. I mean, it's not like a jealousy, but it's I kind of like it's like I envy your situation to a certain extent because like I don't know who my dad is. Like I will never know who my dad is. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? Like my dad is like on my birth certificate, John Doe type of thing. You know what I mean? Like
oh,
I like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
mhm,
like I understand what you're saying. And I've always like thought in my mind, like, would I want to know who he is or like would I want to like meet him? You know what I'm saying? Like, but I think it's so far from even becoming reality for me. Like I never even entertained it. Like I never even let myself get to that point. Like, what's the point? You know, like I don't I've asked my family members, like I've asked like because my biological mom is paranoid schizophrenic. So
mm,
you ask her, she don't have no clue. Like she couldn't tell you. You know what I
wow,
mean?
yeah,
So yeah. So like when I hear people like yourself of a story like this that you say like, you know, like I'm trying to work up, you know, the courage to go meet my dad and like I'm like man, like that is so dope, man. Like I mean,
mhm,
as messed up as the situation may be, and as like as difficult and as hard and as maybe even like traumatizing on the inside, like as it may be, like I just envy that of you because like I would love to be able to do that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
So.
I do. I do. And for you're not the first person who's told me that.
Hmm.
Honestly, I've had, you know, even my own, siblings tell me, because me and my siblings, we didn't grow up together. You
Hmm.
we had different moms, and we was just separated until I was like 18 or whatnot. But they kind of tell me the same thing, that they kind of envy the fact that I didn't grow up with my dad, because he was a really violent person. Like, he
Mm.
was super violent,
Yeah.
super abusive. He was abusive with drugs, abusive with women, with his children. He
Mm.
was just not. He wasn't the ideal type of father. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So they've told me before, like, they envy, like, that I didn't grow up with him. I didn't have to deal with him coming home and beating my ass. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And then, and it's kind of a hard conversation to have with them, because it's like, it's kind of hard, because, like, at the same time, you want to understand that where they're coming from, like, their place of hurt, and how they would see that, and how they would envy me for not growing up with my father. But then at the same time, there's that, just a position where, even though I didn't grow up with my father, it doesn't mean I didn't grow up with abuse, doesn't mean I
Hmm.
didn't get my ass beat. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Doesn't mean that you would want my life for your child,
Hmm.
for your daughter, for your niece, for anybody like that.
Right.
And I totally understand where you're coming from, because I have a lot of friends who just don't know who their father is at all. It wouldn't ever, you know what I mean, even have the opportunity. So I also do understand that, and that part is hard. Even friends who've lost their parent, and for sure will never see them ever again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, then that's another hard thing too, because it's like, damn, and so then I have to kind of appreciate where I am as well, that I do still have the opportunity to meet, my father, even though it is kind of like a, weird situation. But most definitely, I think is necessary, for healing, for people to be able to let go and forgive. You know what I mean? you know
But I was just about to say that I think that the way that you're approaching it is very cool because, like, yeah, like you're giving yourself that opportunity to heal, and to like kind of lift that, like how you said your boy said, like lift that weight off of your shoulders. You know what I'm saying? Because I understand to a certain degree, like the kind of like mental burden you kind of put on yourself, like because like there's a lot of missing pieces. There's a lot of like, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of like doubt,
Question.
a lot of questions and a lot of doubt. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Because like you don't have that, you didn't have that parental reinforcement growing up. So like you kind of just went through the motions. You know what I'm saying?
seriously went through the motions. And then for a young girl, growing up without a father, I think it is. That's why I
That's
really.
hard.
It's hard. It's
Mm-hmm.
super hard. I think, I appreciate, all the fathers out there. Big shout out to all the fathers and the mothers out there.
Yep.
That steady. Showing their children love, and not. I know abuse happens for both men and women. I know men who've been abused, sexually abused, physically.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of women have been physically and sexually abused. Including myself. And for a lot of my life, I blame my father, because I didn't have him, because I didn't have a father figure to teach me what a man is supposed to be like a man,
Mm-hmm.
or how a man should treat a woman. But I knew who he was. I knew what he was about. Like, I knew that he was a violent, addicted to drugs. Like, I knew all the bad shit about him. And
Yeah.
even though I never wanted to, I still attracted the type of man that my father was. Even though I didn't know him, I would still attract abusive, toxic relationships that would just end horrible. And I never understood it until, like, I had to get a bunch of therapy, and had to understand, like, why I have all this, like, whatever resentment and all these things, and why I'm addicted to all this and that and that. And for me it just boiled down to that, just not having, a male figure present. And it could be, it could be men can have this problem too. Men can have this problem
Mm-hmm.
of not having a man show them what a man should be, like how they should, treat women, and how they should, make sure that women treat them as well. The abuse can go both sides. I see women abuse men, and I see men abuse women. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just, and it boils down to what kind of parental figures did you have, and
Yep.
what kind of values did they reinforce, and it boils down to how you were parented, really. And that a lot comes out when you become a parent too. Like
Yeah.
some of the parenting techniques you were, taught as a kid. Sometimes you see yourself get doing those to your kids, and you're like, wait, hold on. Some may be good, some may be negative, and you're just like, wait, where
Yeah.
did I learn that from? Oh, I learned it from this person who was just out of their mind. you know, um,
That's
I
true.
no, for real. And I never thought about that until I actually had to, take care of children, and I was like, whoa, I
It's a
was
game changer.
yeah, I was not prepared for this. No, seriously.
Well, they say. Well, I had interviewed one of my boys. His name is Clean, and it's always stuck with me. He said that what's normal isn't always natural. So like what you're used to and the things that you're brought up with and the things that were normalized in your life and in your childhood like aren't always natural. And a
Hmm.
lot of times like we don't realize, like how you just said, we don't realize that it's not natural until later on, like either when we're parents or when we're adults and we start realizing like, god damn, like why am I doing this, you know what I'm saying? Or you get caught up in situations and then you got to reflect and be like, okay, like, I can't be doing this anymore.
No, seriously. I remember, shoot, look, I'm gonna be real. I was 5 years old. I was about 5 or 6 years old the first time that I was sexually assaulted,
Mm.
and it was by my babysitter's husband, right? And I can remember vividly, but for a long time I blocked it out of my memory until
Mm-hmm.
I met him again as like a teen. But for a long time I blocked it out of my memory. But I can remember vividly now, just the situation and how, like, she wasn't there. He used a situation where she wasn't there to to kind of like coddle me, and like kind of like, oil me, and like give me hugs, and then next thing you know, I'm in his bed, and I'm just like, like covering my ears and my eyes, and just like, really scared, like petrified.
Mm. Yeah.
And then, being that I didn't have a father, I started believing that that
That was
was normal.
normal.
You know what I mean? That's
Mhm.
how you show love. And that was such a fucked up, start for any that's fucked up start for any child,
Yeah,
to
for
learn
real.
what love is, or what, intimacy is. And that just brought on, I that wasn't the first or the last time, you know what I mean? And and honestly, I think a lot of people just, they go through traumas, and they never like see through the memories. They just blurred them out and block them out and never go back to them, and just completely ignore them.
Try to
But
bury them.
they bury them deep. That's what I
Mhm.
did. I buried them hella deep.
Mhm.
But they're gonna come out all the time in your anger, in
Mhm.
your annoyance of anything, in your triggers. You might not even know that you have a trigger from that time until you actually unpack that memory. You feel me? And like until you unpack those memories, and you're able to go through those memories without like completely breaking down, then that's when you start becoming more free. You know what I mean? And you're able to control your emotions more than letting those emotions control you. Because trauma is just like it's like a big energy wave that if you don't deal with it, if you don't find a way to deal with that energy, it's just gonna accumulate in your body until you become insane. Seriously. I worked in a mental hospital, for a
Mm-hmm.
couple of months. Um, and man, in that hospital, it made me realize how mental illness, like how it can go from something as simple as depression and go skyrocket to straight, schizophrenia, like serious hallucinations and violent, behaviors. And um and and then I've seen people who go from really severe schizophrenia going down, being able to unpack some of their things, if you can get to that point. But for some people, man, it's not, man. My brother, he is schizophrenic, man.
Mm-hmm.
And we say it had a lot to do with like my dad's violence, the abuse. He was the oldest, so he had more of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a lot more pressure from that kind of male dominant, you know
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
And so I'm telling you, my brother stayed in the mentality of a child, because that's the only way that he could really deal with that. You know what I mean? He couldn't really deal with all those things, so he just kind of stayed in one place. You feel me? So.
Well, it's amazing that through all of the things that you went through, that you're able to kind of be at where you're at. So I mean, it just goes to show like how strong your spirit, your character, and the love that you have inside of you and around you is. You know what I'm saying? Because um, that shit is hard. That shit is not easy.
Mm-mm.
I mean,
Mm-mm.
I went through addiction. I went through like my life in the streets. I went through almost dying a couple times. You know what I'm saying? I should be locked up right now for a while, but I don't know how I'm here. You know what I'm saying? But I just think I finally realized, what I'm saying, that like it's time to heal. It's time to move forward. You know what I'm saying? And really, 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 really learn and commit to loving myself. And that was the next thing I wanted to ask you was you talk about being able to unpack some of this trauma. Like,
Mhm.
what do you think is a way that somebody could start doing that if they don't know how?
Man, man, to be honest and to be completely real, um, therapy is really, really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's really underrated, you know, and for sure you can go to a therapist, and you might go to one session, and he, that nothing. It's not gonna take one session.
Mm-mm.
It might take 3 years, it might take 7 years,
It's
and
a
if
journey.
it's a journey, and if your counselor, if you're not feeling them, you don't have to stick with them. You
Mm-hmm.
can you can switch until you find the right one. And I've done that, and I've found the right ones that helped me significantly. There's a really good book, The Language of Letting Go, 365 daily meditations on like how to let go. It's by oh, her name is Melody. I don't know, but you just Google Language of Letting Go, 365 daily meditations. And that book, man, that book is amazing. It helped me so much in my healing journey. Um, Another exercise that you can do is you can actually meditate on, it might be hard, but you can actually meditate on some of those traumatic memories. You can talk about them. The more you talk about them, the less power that they have on you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a way of unpacking, because when you're able to talk about them and you're not crying, like I was able to kind of talk about what happened without crying. But maybe a couple of years, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I'd be bawling right now, talking
Mm-hmm.
about any of this stuff. Um but you can there's a healthy way for you to do that. I would definitely look up how to do it, because if you do it, you might get depressed, and it might lead you to something really negative. But also, when you do get depressed or something like that, you can also just think about some of the best memories you've ever had. And that can help you a lot in dealing with like some negative energy sometimes. Like, when I get really pissed off or like really upset or depressed or whatever, I think about like me walking the stage, graduating college, and all my peers cheering me on. Yeah, yeah, Rose. That makes me feel good. And immediately I have like this attitude change. And, everything that whatever I was sad about is like in the past now and move forward. So I would definitely just, I would encourage people to just find a way, find a technique, find is there's not even one technique. Find the techniques that work for you. You know what I mean? You were
Hmm.
talking about healthy highs in the last one.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's hella important, man. Healthy highs is important. Running, when you run a couple like like a mile or so, then man, that high is amazing. When you hug your child or your loved one, that releases a neurotransmitter called oxytocin, right? And the oxytocin works is a chemical compound that's basically copied by oxycontin. So people who are addicted to oxycontin are really addicted to love, and they just need to go and
Yeah.
hug people and get some hugs on. But yeah, that's kind of my take on that thing.
I think that's why a lot of people do end up getting addicted to those kind of drugs. You know what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
they're trying to bury their trauma, but it, like you said, it always comes out. And then if they get a taste of that fake, that synthetic love, then that ends up making them feel like, okay, like this I can deal with. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like okay,
Yeah,
but you just end up spiraling out of control.
yeah, absolutely. Self love is the best love, really.
For
But
sure.
we are human. We're social by nature. We need human interaction. You know,
Hmm.
just be careful of who you're giving yourself to, like who you're giving,
Hmm.
who you're getting your love from, making sure that it's a genuine love. You know what I mean? You don't want to get hurt.
For sure.
But yeah.
Well, man, Rose, that's a lot, and I'm like I'm just very, very grateful. What I'm saying, that you're willing to share these things with me. What I'm saying, because I relate to a lot of what you're saying, and I think even myself, like I feel like I've healed a lot, but I'm still trying to figure out like things, and like you said, like the cup is never full, so I'm still trying to like tinker and trying to figure out like what else is going on inside of me, and discovering new like things about myself that maybe I could make adjustments with. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I really do appreciate you opening up so much. You know what I'm saying? Because like this kind of stuff is like so rare. You know what I'm saying? That I feel like um, so many people could relate to it if more people like yourself were willing to step up to the mic and share what they've experienced. You know what I'm saying? Because I guarantee you, like me and you are not the only ones that have these kinds of stories.
Oh no, Mo. I used to be in this group of girls, and one of the girls was raped by her father. She was 12 years
Mm,
old. 75% of sexual assault cases are actually done by a family member. You know what I mean? And that's the saddest part of that statistic. But at the end of the day, like what you can do to make sure that your daughter grows up to be a strong, woman who speaks up, when things like that happen, is listening to your daughter or and sons too, both. It's
mm,
important because it can happen to both a son or a daughter.
right.
Listening to your children, not controlling them, not acting like they're your property. They're not your property.
Hmm.
They're their own independent entities,
Yep.
and no spankings. Violence is violence, and our kids don't differentiate spankings from whoopings or from beatings. Violence to them is violence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we allow ourselves to be violent towards our kids, then they're gonna think that's normal and that's love. You know what I mean? They're gonna grow up in relationships where people abuse them, and they're gonna think that's normal, that's love. I was abused as a kid by my parents. They love me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's false. That's hella false. We've been raised wrong, and and there's healthy ways to raise our children without having to ever like be violent to them. There's consequences, punishments, timeouts. It's really not as hard, but I know some people are just hard because they can't even control their emotions.
Yep. I was
But
about to say is like it kind of goes back to what you said like earlier, as far as like, not realizing that you have these tendencies inside of you and where they're coming from. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to realize that like that you were raised under certain conditions and you have to be able to examine it like honestly. You can't have that bias of like, oh well, since I was raised this way and I turned out this way, then it must have been the right way.
yeah.
Like nah,
No.
nah.
Oh man. When I hear people say that, I be like, yeah, okay. You turned out great. You could have turned out greater if you had a better, healthier
Yeah.
upbringing. But that's a whole other conversation.
But I think even the most like perfect quote unquote parents, like I think even the most perfect parents were not that perfect. You know what I'm saying? So there's always room to like analyze things and just be honest, you know what I'm saying? And just say,
Always.
okay, like
We're
maybe
human.
maybe this could have been different. Maybe that could have been different.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, we're just human at the end of the day. It's
Yep.
human to err, right? That's what they say. It's human to err, but to forgive, now that's divine,
Ooh.
right? That's what
I
you
like
got
that. I like that.
for real. You gotta forgive yourself. You gotta learn to forgive others, and move forward for real. Sure.
So I always ask this question before I go is I mean I'm tempted to like end it on that note because I like that quote that you just said. But I always ask my guests like, what do you think is the most important lesson that you've learned to this point?
mm, man, my biggest lesson, man, you know what? In college, I read this book called The Tipping Point, and
Hmm.
it talks about mavens, connectors, and salespeople, right? And we all fall into these categories of sometimes we're more mavens or we're more connectors or we're more salespeople. So a maven is a person who has a wealth of information and connects people to that information. Then connectors are people who just very social and connect, and everybody connects with them. And salespeople, obviously, they sell, the good salespeople. I had to realize, instead of thinking about like how people think, oh, you're an alpha or you're a beta or you're you're this kind of you're that. I like this. I like these three things, like this maven connector, because I'm a maven, period. Like, and I'm more about giving information and you making sure that information is correct than being like too social. Understanding like your strengths and your skills will help you more than trying to fit into something that you're not.
Yeah.
Or trying to follow something that other people say you are or you aren't. You feel me? So I think that to me, that's just like make it choosing for yourself who you are and who you want to be. You know what I mean? Not letting other people define you. So like, yeah, that's kind of what I want to say.
Oh man, that's I feel like that's such a beautiful thing because I feel like it kind of connects a lot of the things that you said throughout this conversation, and it all boils down to that, in my opinion, is just kind of understanding who you really are. But it takes unpacking the trauma. It takes like being very honest with yourself. It takes like being able to sit with yourself and like and just kind of heal. You know what I mean? Like that's when you get to really know like okay, like this is something that I'm good at and it's okay, and then this is something that I need to improve on and that's okay.
Right,
But
right.
then like once you can do that with yourself, I feel like, man, like you can do anything for real.
Absolutely. No, for real. No, man. And I don't know if there's still time, but I also wanted to give like a little exclusive on kind of the music I got going on. I'm finally, starting to believe in myself, starting to believe in my gifts and my talents. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm just like I'm taking myself seriously, like I should have a long time ago, but but I have this music I'm about to be releasing, and I'd like to drop some gems on here if you like, if you give me permission to. That's cool.
Yeah, go ahead, Rose, do your thing.
All right. Since we're talking about all these like deep ass emotions and stuff like that, I'm gonna go with one of my deep ass emotional songs.
All right, go ahead.
All right. This one's called Bury Me. And it goes, bury me deep, Pills and bottles popping just to put my life to sleep. Been through hell and back, and I don't wanna go back. But why I'm seeing my past now everywhere I be. Bury me deep, bury me deep. Pills and bottles popping just to put my life to sleep. Been through hell and back, and I don't wanna go back. But why I gotta stay strapped now everywhere I be. This shit is so hard to spit. Yeah, I've been losing sleep. Flashback of my life, and I must admit that I've been losing it. I lost it for the price I pay less than the price it cost me. They crossed me, arguing back and forth, then it dropped me, sunk me to the sunken place with no trace about me to the walls of fate. Tree of knowledge, acknowledge that I fell too deep, and I've been asleep for 20 ages in front of me. Stood a million more in a million cages. Who made this? Bury me deep. Pills and bottles popping just to put my life to sleep. Been through hell and back, and I don't wanna go back. But why I'm seeing my past now everywhere I be. Bury me deep, bury me deep. Pills and bottles popping just to put my life to sleep. Been through hell and back, and I don't wanna go back. But why I gotta stay strapped now everywhere I be. So that's just one of my little songs right there.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's some real
Yeah,
stuff,
man.
though. That's some real stuff.
I got some rap for you. I got some reggaeton too for y'all. Um, check out my IGs, my SoundClouds. Here soon enough, I'll be releasing them. They're not out there yet. I'm still under construction,
It's
but very
a
here.
work in progress.
Yeah, hot girl summer. It'll be hot.
Well, keep us posted so we can we could drop the description or drop the links in the description and like help you get it out there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll definitely send those to you, bro.
Yep.
Mhm.
Right on, Rose. Well, thank you so much. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you're a real one for real. Like I'm honored. I'm really am honored that you was willing to share your story with me for real. Like it touches me like for real. Like I can't express to you like in words like how much it means to me that you was willing to share your story with me. So
Man,
thank you.
I'm honored for real for letting me share my story because, my music is not just for myself. It's also a healing process for not just a healing process, but it's also for like everybody else who's been through something like that. Anybody who can relate to those experiences. That's what I'm doing this for, man. For the people, for the youth.
Yep, same here. Same here. I'm just trying to help out the young men that are still trying to figure it out and don't have much guidance in their lives. You know what I mean? Well, like we said, it's like it's just being human. Like we all got the good and the bad about ourselves, and it's all good either way. I mean, I just to me it's all about just relating to somebody's experience and not trying to judge them for like things that don't really have no impact on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for real.
I just try to like relate to people and just try to you know I honestly try to like learn from people because I hear people's stories and I'm like, damn, man, like I try to learn from that.
No, for and you're a good listener, man. I peeped that.
Oh, thank you.
Because I'm not. Yeah, yeah. But you do great. You do great. I'm proud of the work that you're doing for real, bro. And I hope it skyrockets for you. And wish you nothing but the best blessings for real.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I always end the interviews by saying that one person can change the world, but it's one person at a time, and that one person is you. So stay tuned for the next Grown Man Sessions. If you guys got anything out of this one, please hit the like, hit the subscribe, and
Like,
drop us a comment. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like take care of yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like start that healing process, like start unpacking that trauma and it's okay. Like be patient with yourself. You know what I'm saying? And if you need some guidance, if you need somebody to bounce things off of, hit up Rose, hit up me. We got you.
yeah, hit me up from trauma to triumph, y'all. From
Yes.
trauma to triumph.
Yes. There you go. And you can
Yeah.
do it. You can do it. I promise you, you can do it.
Mhm. All right.
All
Thank
right
you,
then.
Tim. Take care. Much
All right,
love.
Rose. Talk to you later. Peace.